You're watching Soundtree TV.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's version of Wednesdays with Wayne. Today is officially October 29th, and we're delighted to welcome you here today. A reminder that in addition to our live broadcast, all of our previous episodes and future episodes will be hosted on YouTube, and we invite you to come in and check us out, the Soundtree channel on YouTube. Today's the fourth in our ongoing series. Those of you who are new with us, the very first one of Wednesdays with Wayne featured our special guest and our curator here, Mr. Wayne Splettstoeszer, dealt with podcasting, and then the second week dealt with designing and designing your own music lab and the different opportunities that were there. And then last week's was Help I've Got to Teach Music Technology, and I Don't Know Where to Go. And that one we featured both Wayne and my associate, Dr. Ken Greene, here. Stories about how we get some of the outrageous questions that we get from time to time, but everyone basically is like, help, I've gotten pulled into the business and I don't know what to do. And as always, we're here to serve. And today we're going to hand off to Wayne, and he's going to take us through as one of the top leading music technology teachers in the nation, just sharing some of his best practices, shall we say, top engaging lessons for middle school and high school for those who are just trying to get started. And Wayne, it's all yours.
Thank you, but I know you've been working hard, Walt, and you've been very, very busy and everything, but you do realize today is not Halloween, correct? Because what's up with the doctor coat there?
Why, Wayne, I'm so glad you asked. And then that
no problem, Walt. We didn't plan this ahead of time. Of course not.
Yeah, no, completely
came out of nowhere.
We're
completely out of left field.
We're excited to announce that tomorrow we'll present the very first on this would be Thursday, October 30th at 4 o'clock Eastern. We're still daylight time. Eastern daylight time. The Doctor is In, which is a open door session featuring Ken Greene, myself, our associate Stefan DeSalvo, and two of our remote specialists, Mr. Chris
pediatricians,
and Eric, just on all things music tech. So if you have a lab question or your PA system is making too much noise, or you don't know which mic to use, or you just want to kind of talk to some really interesting guys, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we will be going live, and we'll hope that you'll be able to join us. This will be a first of a weekly set doctor's hours. Between 4 and 5 o'clock, we'll be there to answer any question that you might have. Okay. So with that, again, we're excited for what Wayne is going to present today, and we do hope everyone will join us. Okay. Oh, before I forget, the week of November 17, and we'll remind us at the end, we have something very, very special that's going to be happening on our StreamYard. Specific dates and times to be announced, but this is one that you're not going to want to miss, and we'll leave it at that. Sorry for the tease. Keep your eye on the Soundtree newsletter, or just stay in touch, and we'll tip our hands. We're getting something we think really special finalized here. Okay, and hope you enjoy the Get Up. $7 Amazon stethoscope. Life is good. All right, Wayne, it's all yours, man, and away we go. The best lessons, the very best of the best, work with your middle and high school kids. All right.
Just want to know how many keyboards you have to buy to get the free coat.
We'll have to think about that.
You got to think about that. Nothing else got sound this week.
Or the crickets that we were waiting for from my answer.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Welcome, everybody. My name's Wayne Splettstoeszer. I teach at Torrington High School in Torrington. We got the dog, too, in Torrington, Connecticut. I've been teaching high school for 31 years. 29 of them have been here at Torrington. So I've been doing a presentation recently on engaging lessons for middle school and high school. And I always get asked, well, what is the most engaging lesson? And the answer is yes. I mean, it could be anything you want it to be. I'm going to present some things that I have found that have worked well. But the bottom line is, your students, your situation, and what was engaging to my students may or may not be engaging to your students. So I hope you can take this as maybe a starting point or something to maybe try something new in your program. But hopefully you'll find something that will be useful for you. So I'm just going to scroll ahead. So the most common concepts, and this is stuff we all probably know, but if not, composing, arranging, remixing. I do a lot of sampling and remixing. My kids really like that. Live performance aspect you can start putting in. Podcasting is huge in my school. I just had a science class down in my lab today, and they're doing a podcast on some science lab that they're about to do. I also have the foods class. They have a new foods teacher here at our school, and they're going to do a food podcast. So that's kind of real exciting because I get free food once they come and do that. So I've been putting my order in. Film scoring and social emotional learning, let's face it, that's something we all do on a daily basis anyways. So ways to rejuvenate or try new things in your class. I'm a big proponent of Soundtrap. I love Soundtrap. Everything it can do, that's a whole nother session in itself. You can try Canva. If you don't know Canva, a lot of districts are having district licenses for Canva. And Canva is a web-based where you can do presentations, there's videos, there's everything in there. They have AI functions to create all kinds of projects. I've been finding ways to implement Canva into my Soundtrap projects. So that's something I'll be showing you. Podcasting is a great way to get kids interested. We just started this week with my classes. I know I have kids wanting to come down after school to finish podcasts and bring their friends in and everything else. Choice boards is probably the most important way to engage your students. And when we start talking about choice boards, it's basically you give them options and you just let them go. And I have found that if I could say one thing that works the best, that is the one thing that has worked the best for me over the past couple of years. One of the only things that came out of positive from COVID and remote teaching, in my opinion. So some lesson ideas, social emotional learning. I was working with a district last year, and their administration said we need social emotional learning lessons for all music classes. And I had to laugh. I go, isn't that what we do anyways? So here are some ideas. You can do podcasting. You can compose using different moods, like, hey, we're going to do a little horror track for Halloween. Press this one note. How does that sound with a white coat on? And if you drop the octave, and how does that make it sound? You can do simple ways of composing in different moods. Play a really high note and then manipulate it using effects, some volume automation, pan, all that, and it changes the mood of everything. Music and art is a lesson I've been doing for a long time where kids have to create music in Soundtrap that reflects a picture, a sculpture, any piece of art, ad, anything, but it gets them thinking in a different direction. It gets them using the art as their muse for the project. And then I have them write at the end, because we have to include writing in a lot of our stuff because of our test scores. How does the music reflect that picture? That can be done using any DAW. You can select the picture for them. You can have the kids select the picture, whatever you want it to be. A couple other great lessons that I've been using. Soundtrack of Your Life. That's where they pick examples of their life, events in their life, and they put music to that. Like, this song reminded me of that night I went out with my friends, or this piece of music really got me going with this, and it gets them thinking in, again, a different way, and they can put it all in a podcast form, and it gets them talking. I have a lot of kids that do that. Mixtape, I am basically date myself because I'm a child of the 80s when I had hair. Very nice hair, by the way, just for the record. It was mullet based, as most of us were in the 80s. And I'm going to say two words that anybody who grew up in the 80s will understand: aqua net. There we go. So mixtape is when I said, I hold a picture, a cassette that I have, and I go, back in the day, we used to record songs on a mixtape and we'd hand them off and go, you want to listen to my mixtape? Well, they make one digitally inside of a DAW, and they have to pick a topic. And that topic literally can be anything you want it to be. I have kids doing everything from mental health ones. I have kids doing their favorite artist. I had one do the history of hip hop, and they have to pick that theme, and they have to pick 10 songs or more that go with that theme. And then they have to discuss how those songs go with that theme. Most of my kids do it in podcast form. I do have kids doing this as a Google slide or a Canva presentation form. I try to give them many different options to do things because all kids are creative or get engaged in different ways. So I try to give them a lot of options. Podcasting, I'm going to get to in a little bit, so I'm going to skip that for right now. The live performance part, and this is something I honestly struggle with and how to really do this in a unit form and everything, but I do dabble with the kids in this every year. So we use a couple different things. UDJ, the u.dj /edu. That is a online basically DJ deck where inside the website there's all preloaded songs, there's effects, there's all different ways you can manipulate the turntables to have them do some basic DJ concepts. They have to use excuse me, the mouse or their trackpad, so it's not as fluid as it would be if you had a MIDI controller DJ deck in front of you. But it does get them to the concepts of kind of trying to do a little crossfading, a little mixing type thing. I find that most students will not really use this because it requires they have to have a sense of time and it takes a little bit of effort. And as most kids is, we all know, if it's not instant gratification, they move on. So I introduce this to my kids. I offer this as an option for my kids. One or two a class really will try it, but overall, not a lot have tried it yet. There are schools that do this very well, and I have talked to like after school DJ programs and stuff. So hopefully that'll change for me. But if you know of someone that's doing it really well, please give me the information because I know I'm looking for better ways to do that. The Launchpad Arcade is basically a mini controller that you can use with the Launchpad Arcade website. And they can, quote, play all the sounds through the MIDI controller, the Launchpad, in front of their laptops. You cannot record, you cannot save. So it's basically just they perform at that time. I've had kids do some pretty cool stuff with it. I had some kids do a little live performance in class with it. I had some kids, trying to record it off their computers back in. But it was really cool to see them be creative because, again, kids get engaged in different ways. So it's not like, okay, everybody must do this, then everybody must do this. In my class, after we get to a certain point of skills, I try to branch it out and go, okay, try this, try this, try this. So some assignments for this that I've done in the past. I say, you've been hired to DJ a party, and they had to create a 10 to 15 minute party mix using UDJ. Fashion show music for a clothing class. I saw a school do very well, and they would make the music and they would play it live at whatever show that the clothing class was doing. Also, every now and then for parents' night, I'll have kids interested and we'll bring out the equipment and put it outside our door. And as parents are going by, the kids are just playing songs and kind of just doing some stuff. So all the parents and the kids that are there can see what the music tech class is doing. So this is something I've been trying to do. And again, some kids really like this. Other kids like, it's okay. So it kind of depends on the kid. And here's the Launchpad Arcade as a little example of it. All these different color blocks. If they have the little loop icon in the lower left, when you press it on the Launchpad, it loops. These two last columns on the right, those are kind of trigger touch only, and they can do it in a rhythmic fashion. UDJ here, it syncs all by beats per minute, but make sure you do the /edu version. There is another version, but this one takes out all the questionable samples and things like that. Great addition to your class if you can use it. So podcasting. If you caught my last episode about podcasting, I'm a big proponent of what podcasting is, what it can do for your students, and what it can do for your school. So I'm going to give you a very short version on why you should use podcasting to engage your students. 4 reasons: relevant, easy to make, wide-ranging, and ultra interdisciplinary in the approach of podcasting. Podcasting is extremely easy. All you need is a device: computer, phone, tablet, desktop, and microphone. If you don't have money to purchase external microphones, USB microphones, snowballs, Shores, anything like that, you can use the internal mics to do it. Correct, they're not going to be the best quality, but at least it gets you to do it if money is an issue. And then in terms of software, any DAW can do a podcast. In terms of wide ranging, here are some assignments that I've done and I've seen other people do. I do a playlist podcast where the kids have to come up with their top 10 favorite songs, and they come in and they go, all right, my number 10 song is blah, blah, blah by blah, blah, blah. They drop a 30-second drop of the song. Then afterwards, they have to talk on why they like that song. And then they go 9, 8, all the way to number 1. Most kids love this assignment. They're using their favorite songs, but they get to talk about their favorite songs, and they get so animated to do it. And it's really one of the better assignments. I have a lot of kids doing social issues, mental health issue podcast, to the point where last year I had a girl go out and talk to the mental health people we have in the town and the district, and she did a beautiful podcast on how kids can get help if they need it. Traditional sports clubs, principal podcast, admin podcast, interview a family member, and then you can always give them topics like music history projects, music projects. The thing with podcasting is let them be creative. You give them the criteria, you tell them what you want. Okay, I want X amount of minutes. You have to have an intro, outro, put some drops in. You can talk about audio quality, you can talk about researching, you can talk about 21st century skills and all the things they can do in a podcast. Some of the knocking on podcasting that I hear when I work with districts or teachers is, well, they're not learning music. Correct. They're not learning about music, but they're learning so much more with podcasting. Some things I found out about podcasting. It gives kids a safe space to talk. I have found that podcasting, for some kids, it's therapy. They want to talk because they're not heard at home, or they have no friends to talk to, or whatever the case may be. They find that once that microphone comes on, they can talk about their feelings. One student used it to decompress. She took my class like a year or 2 ago, and she finds me in the hallway still and goes, Mr. S, I did a podcast last night. Great. What'd you talk about? How my day was. She goes, I like it. Kind of calms me down after a day. I said, what do you do with the podcast? Nothing. I just save them. But that was her vehicle in a way to decompress. It makes kids feel important. I have a girl who comes in, I love making podcasts. I played it for my teacher, and my teacher said I sounded so good at it. And then special needs, I got a long story, which I won't go into now, but I had a special needs student improve his speech, excuse me, by doing podcasts. All we told him is slow your voice down, use a podcast voice, we called it. And before you know it, he started to slow his voice down, and other classes started noticing it, and he started to communicate better. His speech pathology was like, whoa, this is really good. And all his teachers noticed his grades are going up, all because we said, use your podcast voice. So you never know what's going to happen when you use podcasting. Canva. Again, it is a great visual suite that you can use for music tech type projects. So what it can do, it can enhance a music presentation, kind of like Google Slides, but much, much, much better. You can combine the visual arts, media literacy, and music. So if you have to hit multiple standards, you want to interdisciplinary with your, you have a tech ed, you have a video production class, you have a visual arts class. This is a great way to start combining things. I make students, I use the terms like you're a music producer now, you're a promoter now. But when we get to this part of the class, I say you're a content creator. And once you use those 2 words, content creator, that is instant relevant to them. And they go, oh, I can be a content creator. Oh, Mr. S, this is so much fun. Because they talk about my blah, blah, blah friend on TikTok and this Instagram, they're content creators. And I say, yep. And if you get rich, I get at least 50%. Canva, if you've never used it, is extremely simple and extremely user-friendly, accessible to all learners. In most districts have a license or are starting to get licenses because they are finding uses for it district-wide, elementary, middle, and high school. So if you have Canva and you never used it, there are a lot of great ways to use it. Here are some lessons and things that I do with it. I have them do a concert promotion. So what they have to do with this is they have to create a 30-second commercial in Soundtrap of their favorite band artist. I said, your favorite artist is coming to our school on a one-night engagement performance. You have to promote it. You are now the concert promoter. So they cut up the music of the artist, put it in Soundtrap, do a script over top of it. After that's done, they export that as an MP3, go into Canva, and use a video template that's already pre-made in there. they use the MP3 from Soundtrap as the musical bed of the video, and then they can put pictures and information in it to create a multimedia concert promotion of their artist. Very cool. Kids really like it because they're doing multiple things. And again, they get to use their favorite music, their artist. Soundscape, that's where kind of like the music and art I talked about before. They can put a picture into a video template and make music underneath it. I had a student do a final project with a lo-fi kind of vibe and had a picture of a beach, and it came out awesome. And I wasn't sure how it was going to come out. And I said, just go. Let's figure out how you can do it. A project that came out a couple years ago for me was Grammy Award, because we were talking about the Grammys in class, and the kids are going, I don't know why my artist doesn't win a Grammy. They should win a Grammy. And I was listening to conversation. I went, huh, that could be a cool project. So I said, here's what you got to do. You got to choose an artist or a group and create a presentation or a podcast on why they deserve a Grammy Award. And kids love this one because they have to research the different Grammy Awards. I said, or you can come up with your own award, make a new category that no one else has. And then they have to put their artist in, they have to research. I mean, it's really, really a cool project. And for those of you who have to chew up a lot of time in class, block scheduling, people who have like 80, 90-minute classes, this is a great one that takes a little bit of time if you need something like that. Some other ideas in Canva. Do recut movie trailers. Recut movie trailers are where you take the trailer of the movie and just switch the music underneath it. It instantly changes the whole meaning of the movie. So if you can go on YouTube, you just type in recut trailers. Frozen becomes a horror movie when you just change the music. The Shining, classic movie, becomes a children's story when you just change the music underneath it. So we talk about how music affects change and how music can change how you feel about a movie just by switching out different styles of music. Art of Foley is great. You can record sound effects in Soundtrap and then add them to a video in Canva. I have not tried recording into Canva, but that's something I'll try. But with Canva, the possibilities are absolutely endless with this. Go through, try it. You probably have someone in your school, if you're using it, that's pretty hip on how to do Canva. So you can kind of meet with them and talk about different ways to implement it in your class. So choice boards. And again, this is the one thing, if you really get nothing else out of this, I strongly suggest you try doing a choice board. So a choice board is where you give a student a wide range of assignments to choose from. And the choice boards can be anything you want them to be. You do not have to take my concept of a choice board. You can make your own. But when you give them multiple choices, it promotes the ownership of their own learning, as I had an administrator come in and tell me. She was very excited about that. Differentiation at its finest. You can layer them, you can have different scaffolding type assignments, whatever you want. It fosters creativity in ways of kids that they didn't even realize they could do, because they go, I think I want to try that, or I like doing that from before. Supports diverse learning styles. And the one thing, if you do it, the only concern I say you probably should think about is, can you as the educator run multiple assignments at the same time? And that's something that some teachers can do very well. And that's something some teachers really don't like to do. And if you're the type, well, I can only do one assignment at a time, then maybe the choice boards aren't ready for you right now. But if you can run multiple assignments at one time, choice boards can be the thing for you. So here's an example of one of my choice boards. So I just put the assignment up here and I give them the different options of projects. I try to encompass, composing, a podcasting, maybe a little research type thing in there. So it gives them all kids that I want to focus on podcasting, or I really like remixing, or I like using samples. They have an option that best fits them. I always have on every choice board a create your own option. This way, if a student goes, I just don't like anything you have, then I can say, well, you tell me what you want to do. What would you like to do? You create your own assignment. 9 out of 10 times, most kids won't, but every now and then I get a kid that will. And sometimes I love the lesson so much, I keep it and use it for an upcoming semester. And as you see in my situation, my classes, I have to have everything in English and Spanish. So we have the version English and in Spanish as well. So Other ways to get options. So if you want to download different things for multi-track recording, sampling, remixing, this is a great website. Moby Gratis just came out, I think, about last year, and he has uploaded over 500, basically all instrumentals that you can download and put into your DAW. And he has them in different formats: multi-track, WAV, and MP3. And this video, he discussed why he did it. It is all free. There is no charge to use this. He just wants everybody to be able to use this, be creative, and help our students be successful. I've had numerous students come in and use these, and they love them. There are no vocals in them. And he said the reason why is it's much easier to do remixing if there's really no vocals to put in. So you can always add vocals on top of it if you like, or kids can create their own vocals. But this is a great way to start remixing, maybe a concept of sampling, pulling things out of different projects. So highly recommend Moby Gratis. And then my website, thsmusic.net. This is where you can find all of my lessons from my classes that I'm doing. If you go to the Tech 1 tab, Tech 1 tab will drop down and you will see Tech 1 lessons. That is everything I'm doing presently in my class. So you will see how I structure my class from beginning of semester to the end of semester. All the lessons are there. All my lessons are free to use. Just if you use the lessons to become Teacher of the Year, give me a shout out when you go on stage. One thing you will see, I didn't update this graphic. There is the educator page where I have lessons dating back multiple years. So you can see everything I've done for the past couple years, every section I have. You will see assignments come and go depending on what I like, what the kids like. But I also have a tab that will show up for Heart Summer School. I teach a workshop at the Hart School of Music at University of Hartford, West Hartford, Connecticut. And all the lessons and all the material from those classes are on there as well. So anything on my website, you are free to use. If you would like to contact me directly, we can go over any of this stuff on a one-to-one basis. Oh, that's from before. Sorry. No raffle today, but we should raffle off that coat. I don't think Walt would miss it. So that's my quick kind of ideas on engaging. But the bottom line is, what is engaging for your kids? Talk to them. What do they like? I did a whole unit on beats because kids go, Mr. S, let's dive into beats and the different beats. I'm like, okay, let's go into it. As a teacher, we can't be afraid to kind of push our boundaries and try different things. But you can't, it's like the old Lotto motto, you can't win if you don't try. So try something new. Try a choice board, try some podcasting, try some Canva, and see how your students like it. So thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, still there?
Still here.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, if you were to have your personal favorite, of all, and these are tremendous ideas, is there anything that really stuck out that you were saying? Because you've already touched on this, but the Torrington community is a heavy Title I community, correct? And that
Correct.
One of the great and fantastic tenets of the success of your program has been where, really, in a nutshell, bringing kids out of their shell. Sorry, I used shell in the same sentence twice. I love that. You're doing the Grammy Award and just unlocking. If there was a favorite, if you were to pick a favorite of that wonderful assortment, what would you suggest it was for you and or for the kids that you saw the most creativity come out?
That's a good question, because I don't think I could pick just one to say it brought out the most creativity or the most engaging out of all of them. A couple I can pick. The podcasting for the playlist podcast was very good. A lot of kids got into it. The music for their culture, that was a cool assignment, where the kids had to basically, describe the music of their culture. What did they grow up with? What did they hear from their relatives or in church or whatever the case may be? And it was fascinating to hear the different music from their cultures, but how they were so passionate about it. And in Torrington, we have a wide, diverse population. So I was getting all kinds of things. And it was an option on choice board. It wasn't that everybody had to do that assignment, but a lot of kids picked it because they felt so passionate about the music of their culture. But podcasting, I would say, is a good thing. And Canva. the kids love doing the multimedia things in Canva and then embracing a video side, like a little publication side, and the music side.
Very cool. Ken, we're going to have to save this, I think, for a future time. There will be a dedicated session. But real quick, with some of the few minutes that we had, when you were, teaching in the middle school in Shelby County in Memphis, and the creation of the Kodiak channel and all the different assets that you developed along the way, with some of the time that we have remaining, can you just share some ideas? You and I had talked earlier this week about, potentially just having some things to add to this overall macro conversation.
Sure. Yeah. In fact, the more of these webinars we do, the more I realize how similar our experiences are, Wayne's and mine, our teaching styles, approach to it all. It's stunning. So everything that Wayne has said is just fantastic. And it's what's at the heart of it all, like you said, Walt, is it's getting those students to getting them engaged, getting them to become more comfortable with sharing their ideas, their thoughts, finding their voice, putting it all into their work so that it has, so it's more personal, it's more relevant to them. And I did a lot of that became my work in my classes. And something you said last week, Wayne, was that from semester to semester, the work was different. The projects were different. The standards were the same. The effort to engage the kids, get them to contribute and create, it was all there. But the work itself, the projects were different. And that was some of the most enjoyable stuff, is that we could look forward to do something new all the time. One of my favorites was, the poetry thing, but we'll get into that just because of, of what it facilitates, what it allows and promotes. And that was some great stuff. Spoken word, lots of great performances, but the songwriting and tying in with the choice board idea, Wayne, I feel that like all of this work promotes personal choice. We give them these assignments, and so many of their own ideas are infused into the work. This is an overview of my music and media program. And at the beginning, you'll see some, it's a little promotional video, but you'll see what's notable is the reaction from the kids, the involvement and engagement. And then there's, I'll walk through it quickly, but it's the songwriting. One process that I used with songwriting starts with a hook, a topic, a theme. Often the students can choose their own. And then you'll see the progression, and the result is pretty impressive. So here we go.
We all wanted out of the cell. We all went through pain and we yelled. We all wanted to escape. Until one day, at school where Corona was in the air, everyone was getting scared. Everyone started to act different. At first, quarantine was magnificent. Quarantine has showed us who our real friends are. Well, I mean the real ones at least. Now, I want to say peace.
That was done during COVID. Did a lot of work during COVID. And when I wasn't staring at ceiling fans in kids' houses from their cameras and they were actually engaged and participating, they created some amazing work, which included podcasting, songwriting. We learned how to use a DAW. They learned how to use a DAW and create their own work. And this was an example of something that a few students collaborated on, just telling their experience with COVID, which I thought was fantastic. They said, "Hey, Mr. Greene, look what we did." And so we just turned it into a little music video. Something on the blues, where after a unit on the blues, a study of the history of blues in the Delta, on up to Chicago with electric blues, students were given the choice of the type of project they wanted to create to demonstrate their understanding of that topic. And Joseph here chose to work with Band Lab. He wrote a song about Robert Johnson, his favorite blues musician. Let's see if we can show this.
Probably the most interesting part to me about the blues was Robert Johnson. The myths behind him and all the mysteries behind him, he's the mystery of the blues. So I decided to kind of make a song symbolizing it.
Can we hear a little of your instrumental accompaniment?
Sure. What I went for is sort of a more ominous tone.
Why the ominous tone?
Because of the dark lore behind him. how it was said he sold his soul, Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil. So I made some original lyrics, and I used BandLab, and the loops I used a couple different ones. So I use Witch House, which this is kind of a darker tone. I use some of that. I use some Dark Hop. And I also added a little experimental pop.
All right, here's the songwriting stuff.
Maybe your song.
This bad blues.
Life goes on, life goes on, young people, life goes on. I remember them days when we were slaves. All those days they had us all caged. Martin Luther King, he had a dream that young people, life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, young people, life goes on, young people. I remember them days when they took my pride away. I sung a lot of the blues just to get through them hard days. Deep down in the South, it was harsh and wild. The environment was hostile, but I managed to get around. Many of us migrated just to get away from hatred. I went up to Chirac to get back on the right track. That's why life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, young people, life goes on, young people, life goes on.
Oops. So there's an example, or several examples of just different engaging, fun lessons, connecting to standards, getting kids engaged, letting them make choices. That resulted in some pretty awesome final work.
And that's for sure. I'm reminded of just talking about how you latch onto an idea. Like Ken's a great bass player, Wayne, you're a trumpet player. We all have jazz backgrounds along the way. And I'm reminded of the improvisational aspect that sometimes these things go, where you take a piece of a melody, you take the head of a chart, you take something, and then you begin to improvise. But you start with some type of theme. And it's just fascinating to watch these themes develop. Just as in we go to jazz at Lincoln Center and sit in Dizzy's Club, and we just watch that snippet turn into something. The exact same thing in terms of classroom stuff. A question for each of you guys. I'll go back to my own, history in the classroom. Can you think of a lesson that you thought was going to be spectacular and turned into a real boat anchor, and you hadn't cut and run? Wayne, you got one? Ken, you got one?
Oh yeah,
Wayne, quick. And let me preface this. That all of us in the classroom have had that happen. You spend hours cranking out the world's best lesson in the world, and you think, man, this is going to end up in a textbook somewhere, and it just sinks like an anvil in a pond. Go. What do you got?
my first lesson on sampling. I was listening to radio, going to work one day, and they were talking about sampling and copyright, and I'm going, oh, this will be really cool. So I researched a little bit about sampling, and I'm like, okay, maybe we'll talk about which decades are sampled the most. And we talked about Funky Drummer and Amen Brothers. I mean, I went just all in on this. And I go, okay, you're going to take a sample from this decade, and this decade, and we're going to throw it all together. And it's going to be so great. And I'm like, yeah, let's go do sampling. And within 5 minutes, oh my God, bring up the cricket sound effect. Those kids had no clue what they were doing. And even exactly. Even I had some band kids in there, and they're going, I don't know what you want. So I had to take a step back and went, yeah, that was pretty dumb of me. So, what we think in our minds sometimes are great lessons. Yeah. Sometimes you try them in reality and they just don't work. So, but you know what? Mm-hmm. I went back to the drawing board. I said, this can work. Yeah. Refined it a little bit. And now we've been doing sampling every semester.
Awesome. Ken, anything come to mind?
Yeah. What comes to mind is the feeling of abject failure when you, you said, you put all that time and effort into it.
And you go, where do I do now?
Yeah. And I the one that comes to mind first was back when flipped classroom was, emerging, and Oh, this is great, man. But I thought I'd try it in the classroom. What would typically be done at home, where I had all this work put into creating like different pages of content that the students would work on in groups, answering questions, doing research, whatever it involved. I don't remember the topic or the unit we were working on, but thinking, man, this is going to be dynamite. I can track the progress. They're going to be working on the devices, talking together. And for whatever reason, it was terrible. And early in the, I think we all just felt it pretty early on. And I remember just saying, you know what, that's on me. My bad. This is terrible. Right. Back to your seats. And then we just did something else. And whatever that work was, whatever the end goal was, just approached it very differently. So again, that's a general response, but it happens. It happens a lot. It happened a lot to me anyway. And just me too. You revise. You got to be quick. You learn to become quick on your feet, and make adjustments in the moment.
I think as teachers, we can't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, because we tell that to our students all the time. That was a big mantra in my classroom, was get ready to fail, because that's how you're going to learn, and support each other as it happens. What are you going to do?
Was watching the World Series last night. I was watching Ohtani doing some serious pitching, along the way. But the World Series in baseball, I think, is a great metaphor, because to get anywhere, you've got to swing at the pitches of life, or you have to swing at the pitches of an idea. You're not going to get anywhere if you just stand. When I coached my kids' baseball team, the idea that they were afraid to swing the bat, and it's like, you're not going to get the odds of you getting on base are not very good if all you're going to do is stand there and take pitches and hope that someone misses enough, and you're going to get a walk. You have got to take pitches, and one of three things happens: you're going to swing and miss, you're going to foul it off, which gives you another try, or you're going to connect. And I think as all of us as teachers, when we recognize and kind of bring that into our classroom, good things are going to happen along the way. 100%. Guys, thanks for sharing that way, and just putting it out there. Wayne, great prep, and Ken, we're going to keep looking for opportunities, because there's more of the Kodiak channels and things we're definitely wanting to share. Our colleague Steph DeSalvo is backstage right now. We want to thank him for his participation. He handles and works with schools in the northern half of the country. Steph, thanks for being with us today. For everyone here, look over my shoulder. You see that white lab coat that we opened the session with. That's just a reminder that, again, starting tomorrow, October 30th, and voice is going to the dogs. October 30th at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and every following Thursday, with the exception of Thanksgiving. The doctor is in, and it will be up. Thank you, Ken, for putting that up. And it will be it will be Ken, Stefan, myself, our colleagues, Chris Sanders, who's an expert on PA system, and Eric Davis, who's just kind of like an expert on everything. Will be available to take your questions. And if it's related to any Korg product, great. If it's related to anybody else's product, if we can help you out, we will. We just want to be your partner in that process. Yes, the doctor is in. And lastly, just a reminder that Ken, if you can fly the graphic, Ken is our graphic flyer. There'll be a formal announcement during the week of, what did we say it was, November 12th? No, not 12th. 12. Yeah, the week of November 17th. We're going to have a very special announcement, a very special session. We're locking in on a date. We'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with someone who we think everyone will be interested in wanting to hear and listen from. And we'll leave it there as a tease right now, but we think it's going to be really pretty cool. So, okay, on behalf of the entire SoundStream family, from Gail, from Stefan, from Ken, from Wayne, myself, thanks for joining us today. A reminder, this session will be posted on YouTube. On the SoundTree channel on YouTube, if you want to access, some of Wayne's presentation, and also sharing some of Ken's ideas and quick video. And anyhow, thanks for being a part of the family. Reach out to us with any questions you've got at any time. We're happy to help. All right. On behalf of SoundTree, have a great week, everybody, and happy Halloween. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching SoundTree TV.